So hello, everybody. Today is March 9th, and this call is recorded. This call is all about tapping on fear of being seen, fear of becoming visible, not being good enough, anything around stepping out of your comfort zone and becoming more accessible to others. My name is Ingrid Dinter. I'm an EFT master trainer. I've been in EFT for over 20 years now. I do have my specialties in the field of helping veterans and building a bridge between civilian and veterans world. I actually was featured today in the EFTI newsletter. I don't know if you saw that, but that was nice of them to put that in there. The goal for today is really to help you guys feel more comfortable in being seen and being heard, because ultimately, whether you're from the EFT world or a completely different field, we are people on a mission. We have something to say and we have people to help. And if we hold on to ourselves and just tell our closest friends, hoping that somebody will send us a referral, we may be able to build a business, but we're not really building something beyond that. We're not visible to people that are outside of our circle. So, and that's not only bad for us if, we would benefit from that visibility, it's also bad for the people that really need to know about us, that really need to know either about EFT or your work, or sometimes it's just getting hope or getting access to something. If we don't show up in their lives, then they have the problem. And I think that's so important for us to recognize that there's importance around showing up and helping people out. And my personal story is a little bit, I believe it's very hard to take a weight loss class from a skinny person. Certainly from a skinny person with great metabolism. You probably want to listen more to the people who've been there. And I am a speaker. I'm an author. I've been in EFT for over 20 years, as I said. I've been doing other things before that. And I noticed that with many of my blog posts, many of the things that I was doing, I was writing all this cool stuff. And then there was a moment and it switched me off. You have no idea how many drafts are in the back end of my blog that are 95% finished, and something happened and it said, you can't publish this. No, finish it tomorrow. It was so hard for me to push through that. And I realized later, so the story goes on. I've built a business, very successful business, lots of clients, and love all that. But I realized that I only feel safe when I am in front of people. I don't feel safe when I don't see who's reading my stuff, right? So it's hard for me to put something out, or it was hard for me. And you got enough emails from me to know now that this has changed. It was hard for me to write an email to people I don't know, to put something in a newspaper that I don't know, where I don't know who reads it, to, be on social media that felt like being on surveillance, right? Like, who's reading this and what are they going to think of you and what they're going to do with the content, and all of these things. Most of them were a little bit unseen to me, because as a speaker who's comfortable with a microphone and 500 people in front of her, it doesn't make any sense. As in EFT, it makes all sorts of sense. So I had to work through that. And what really helped me was that after taking years of business classes, some very expensive masterminds and all sorts of stuff, last year I actually reconnected with an old friend who's a publicist. And I learned from her the step-by-step things you need to do and know if you want to get into the media. And I realized that part of what my problem was is that I didn't know how to do it. I had no idea how to reach out. I had no idea what I was actually trying to do when it came to being more visible. And I worked with her for a year and had all sorts of wonderful experiences. And then there was this last thing that actually happened relatively recently, when I published something in a newspaper, in the Concord Monitor, about something that's extremely dear to my heart and very personal, being German. And it was about Germany and the Holocaust and how it was taught to us. And I realized that my biggest obstacle had been that I was taught, when you reach out, people will knock at your door and pick you up. When you say something that's politically incorrect, my parents grew up in World War II under the Holocaust, right? When you say something incorrectly, if you don't fly under the radar, people can take you away. And that was so deeply ingrained in me that I just couldn't finish. Does that make sense? And what helped me in a therapeutic way was that I was so clear that this is something the world needs to know, that I jumped and I just put it out there, and I got phenomenal feedback. And after that, the doors were wide open. And all of a sudden, I was able to influence people, I was invited to other things. It just kind of snowballed from there in an amazing way. And that's my story, but I want something like that for you. Does that make sense? There is importance in what we do, in our words and our work. We're not just here to work on our own little comfort, but we also here for so much more. And part of that is knowing the skills we need to have. And the other thing is to be able to just work through whatever holds us back so that we can have an impact and a legacy and reach more people and help more people. Does that resonate with you guys? So what I would love to offer you today as an EFT master is to hear from you what you think your fears are, what you think is holding you back. It can be general, it can be specific. We're not going to be able to do deep trauma work here, so we can't do really one-on-one sessions, but we can definitely do group work and shift some energy. And I want to be clear that whatever you think is your biggest secret that nobody should know about, there will be at least 5 other people in the group that will raise their hand and said, oh my God, me too. Okay, so usually what we think is the one thing nobody should know about us is the one thing that once we get it out of the way, we connect with more people. Does that make sense? Okay, so you're all here. You all took the time out of your busy lives. And hey, Nancy, glad you're here. And hey, RK and Shannon, so nice to have you here. So open the microphones. Let me know if you can tell a story. Tell it as briefly as you can, so that we have a lot of time for you guys to, or for me to help you. Don't be upset with me if I may cut you off. It goes too long, because we do want to maximize the time a little bit as well. So just think about this. What could be your biggest fear or obstacle in getting out there? Maybe getting on a podcast, or giving that speech, or talking to people, becoming visible, going online, writing an article, doing something that's out of your comfort zone a little bit. Is that comfortable for you to work on? Are you okay with that theme, or just okay? I want to make sure that this time is that you really enjoy this time, and you walk away and you say, hey, something changed. Mm-hmm. So what would be holding you back?
Well, so for me, it's the fear of being laughed at and criticized.
And by who?
Oh, anybody. It goes back to my childhood, and I was laughed at a lot by my siblings. So I kind of expect it anymore.
Which one of the from your siblings? Which one are you?
I'm the youngest of 3.
Okay.
And I was picked on a lot. Yeah.
And how much older were your other siblings?
Pardon me?
Your other siblings, how much older are they?
One is 2.5 years and the other is 4 years.
Okay. And how old were you when this started?
I don't know, probably 3, maybe earlier than that.
Okay. And did your parents ever say anything about this? Did they have your back?
No. They were too busy fighting with each other. So yeah, okay. It's something I've worked on a lot, obviously over the years. But there's still that niggling fear, that people are going to laugh at me. And sometimes I just set up things to make that happen.
Mm-hmm. And then when they laugh at you, what is the consequence after that?
Well, I usually just disappear. go somewhere
Okay.
else.
What do you think would happen if you didn't disappear?
I don't know. I never really thought about it that way.
Okay. Can anybody else relate to that, being picked on by your siblings?
Oh, not that. No, not exactly.
Anybody else's siblings that picked on you? I'm
Mhm.
raising my hand and not keeping it up. Okay, you had the same experience. Barb, how was it for you? Thank you, by the way, Nancy, for sharing that. We're gonna definitely work on fear of being laughed at and criticized. You guys, by the way, can you relate to this on a different level? Fear of
Yes.
being ridiculed, laughed at, maybe
Yeah.
not by siblings, but by somebody else.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, this is, I think everybody has that on some level. Barb, if you want to unmute and share with us how it was for you.
I have two much older brothers. So one actually went off to university when I was 2, and the other one is about 8 years older than me. And the one that's 8 years older than me, I was definitely a target.
You remember what the worst thing was he ever said?
Oh, that was even more recent. And it's
He's still doing that?
yeah. Just after my dad died.
Okay.
I was
sorry.
adopted. They were
Okay.
not. And it all came out after my dad died.
Okay. How does it make you feel when somebody picks on you, when somebody laughs at you, when somebody criticizes you, and there isn't that much you can do? What's the feeling about it?
Unworthy.
Unworthy? Anybody else? What do you think?
I feel stupid.
Okay.
Ashamed, embarrassed.
Mhm.
What else?
Not good enough.
Mhm.
Angry.
Mhm. What else?
Guilty.
Okay. So just to point out the obvious, we all know this feeling from somewhere. And how we react to it is anywhere from self-worth to intelligence, questioning our intelligence, being totally embarrassed, being angry. We can have all sorts of reactions to the same thing. Somebody saying or making us feel like, we deserve to get laughed at. Tune into this. Now, my way of working when we work with a group is a little different than doing this individually. And I kind of go on a ramble a little bit and try to pull in different things from different people. If something doesn't work for you, or if you don't feel safe, or if you feel like, hey, I've had enough, just raise your hand, okay? I never know what we're going to be saying. I just know that we need to get you out of this, because you can do better things in the world if we do. Sounds good? Okay, I don't use I don't know how you guys were trained by different folks. I do not use the wrist points. I still call the karate chop a karate chop. Somebody got back to me and said, why do you do that? My niece was in the German karate kata. My brother is a black belt. To me, karate is a sport, not a culture. Okay, I have never seen a reason to see it differently. Some people may. Don't be offended if I fall back onto that, but I think that's just how we said it 20 years ago, and I just never made the shift. We can say side of the hand, but it's probably going to fall out of my mouth the wrong way anyways. Are you guys okay with that, or do you insist on me? I can take a note and change it, but all righty. So deep breath. Just tune into that feeling for a minute. So here you are, you just said something, put yourself out there a little bit, and boom, here it comes. And it can be somebody's look. It can be the tone of voice. It can be, they don't even have to say anything. You already know it wasn't right. It can be just the expectation of what's going to happen next. Just tune into that and see how you feel this in your body. And we're gonna keep the mics open unless it gets too noisy. If it does get too noisy, then I would ask you to just mute yourself, but just do this yourself so that you can also unmute yourself and I have to play with it. So, great, Chopin, even though here I am.
Here I am.
And this sucks. It really does.
It really does.
I have this deep, deep fear. And I already know, at least to some point, why I have this fear. This fear of being judged and criticized. Here it is. And it's really hard for me right now. But I deeply and completely accept myself. And even though this is really hard for me, I have so many things to say. I have good things to say. There's nothing wrong with what I want to say. And it wasn't even wrong when I was little. I said what I had to say. But I got into trouble for that. And that hurt. And it still does. And I'm just going to acknowledge that with kindness and compassion. And even though this is a problem for me, I love and accept who I am and what I have to say. So top of your head. I have this fear of being criticized. Inside of the eyebrow, I really do. Outside of the eye, I have this fear of being judged. Under the eye. And maybe it's been there for a long time. Nose and upper lip. This is a really big deal for me. Lower lip and chin so big that I would rather disappear. So big that I would rather not speak up at all. So big that I'd rather not say anything. And I'm just gonna allow myself for a minute to really feel how much that's holding me back. How that makes me feel unworthy. How stupid I feel. How ashamed I feel sometimes. It can be so embarrassing. Sometimes I feel I'm not good enough. And that really makes me angry. Because the truth is, I have good things to say. And I can't get it out because of this fear. And I'm just going to allow myself to recognize how hard that is for me. Just take a deep breath for a minute. I know you're probably not going to be in a happy mood right now, but I want to check in with you. Let me know how you are. What's coming up for you? Just open up the mics and let me know. What's coming to mind? I know you guys are pretty low right now. I would assume that, right? And that's the point. But tell me how you are. I need some feedback.
Tears
Peggy, how
coming
are you?
up.
What is coming up?
Tears are coming up.
Tears are coming up. What are the tears?
So my situation was a little different than the younger kids, that my mother didn't want me to pick on any younger kids. And so her rule was that I was never allowed to express any opinion on the younger kids, how they were treated, how I was treated. There were all these rules and I couldn't say how I felt about anything. And if I said or did something that she didn't like, I was ostracized for
Okay.
months, then years.
Okay. Top of your head. Just keep the mic on. Even my mom didn't have my back.
My mom did not have my back.
She did not help me.
She did not help me.
I was judged because I was older.
I was judged because I was older.
I was judged because of my age.
I was judged because of my age.
What I had to say didn't matter.
What I had to say was wrong.
It was wrong just because.
It was wrong just because.
And I still have tears about this.
And I still have tears about this.
I really do.
I really do.
And I'm just going to acknowledge those tears.
And I'm just going to acknowledge those tears.
Those tears from a little girl.
Those tears from a little girl.
Because I was still a little girl.
I was still very little.
Yeah, I was little.
I was little.
And I'm just going to tune into that feeling of being little.
And I'm just going to tune into that feeling of being little.
That little girl inside.
That little girl inside.
Being judged by her mom or her family.
Being judged by her mom and her family.
Never feeling safe in my family.
Never feeling safe in my family.
Because I couldn't speak up.
I could not speak up.
It wasn't safe to speak up.
It was not safe to speak up.
It was never safe to speak up.
It was never safe to speak up.
My mom was against me.
My mom was against
My
me.
brothers were against me.
My brothers were against me.
Siblings were against me.
My siblings were against me.
It's not okay to
It's
speak up.
not okay to speak up.
My family was against me speaking up
My family was against me speaking up
just because.
just because.
And I could never change that.
I could never change that,
They
even now.
they never understood that they wronged me.
They never understood that they wronged me.
They never understood that this was not okay for me.
They never understood that this was not okay for me.
I could never prove how good I am.
I could never prove how good I am.
I could never prove that I was right.
I could never prove that I was right.
They didn't want to see me like that.
They didn't want to see me like that.
They did not want me to be right.
They didn't want me to be right.
They didn't want to learn from me.
They did not want to learn from me.
They did not want to experience what I know.
They did not want to experience what I know.
They just laughed at me.
They just laughed at me.
They told me to shut up.
They told me to shut up.
And that pattern still exists today.
And that pattern still exists today.
Some of it is between me and my family.
Some of it is between me and my family.
And some of it is so deeply ingrained in my soul.
And some of it is so deeply ingrained in my soul.
That deep pain that I feel inside.
This deep pain that I feel inside.
That I just should not speak up with my family.
And I just should not speak up with my family.
They don't want to hear me.
They do not want to hear me.
And as long as it's me saying something,
And as long as it's me saying something,
it's automatically going to be wrong for them.
it's automatically going to be wrong for them.
So if it's wrong for my family,
So if it's wrong for my family,
if I get judged for it
if I get judged for it
by those who are supposed to love me,
by those who are supposed to love me,
how can I speak up with others
how can I speak up with others
who aren't even family
who aren't even family
and who are not supposed to love me?
and who are not supposed to love me?
How can I ever feel safe?
How can I ever feel safe?
Take a breath. How do you guys feel? You see that? Thank you, Nell, for
Thank you.
you see what I wanted to include a few more things. How do you feel?
Me?
Nell, how do yeah.
Yeah. Softer. Softer.
Okay. Okay. Top of your head. I'm softer, but I'm still mad at this
Softer, but I'm still mad at this
because it wasn't right.
because it wasn't right.
I'm just going to use you as a voice right now. Okay.
Okay.
Alrighty. My brother was 2.5 years older than me.
My brother was 2.5 years older than me.
That would make him 5.
That would make him 5.
I took advice from a 5-year-old.
I took advice from a 5-year-old
about my self-worth and the quality of the things I have to say.
about my self-worth and the quality of the things I had to say.
Thank goodness my older brother chimed in,
Thank goodness my older brother chimed in
because he was already 6.5
because he was already 6.5.
and he knew all about life and how stupid I was.
He knew all about life and how stupid I was.
And I better listen to a 6-year-old.
Better listen to a 6-year-old.
Actually, he was 6.5.
Actually, he was 6.5.
He was really old.
He was really
He
old.
knew all about how stupid I was.
He knew all about how stupid I was.
So much so that I should really still be disappearing in public.
So much so that I should still be disappearing in public.
Because my brother said I was stupid.
Because my brother said I was stupid.
So I better disappear right away.
So I better disappear right away.
How can you ever say something of value with a brother like that?
How can you ever say something of value with a brother like that?
Especially the 2.5-year-old one.
Especially the 2.5 years older one.
Oh, and have I mentioned the 8-year-older one?
And have I mentioned the 8-year-older one?
He really was a pill.
He really was a pill.
He had life figured out.
He had life figured out.
And he also knew what it's like to be adopted. Good for him.
And he also knew what it's like to be adopted. Good for him.
And how much garbage he had to put into my soul.
And how much garbage he had to put into my soul.
On top of seeing my parents fight.
On top of seeing my parents fight.
And maybe even feel like a fifth wheel on the car.
Maybe even feel like a fifth wheel on the car.
Always wondering if I belong.
Always wondering if I belong.
And then this kid comes around and says, well, yeah, actually not.
And then this kid comes around and says, well, you're actually not.
At least that's how it felt to me.
And that's how it felt to me.
Gosh, it was hard growing up.
Gosh, it was hard growing up.
Every day.
Every day.
I had this fear of being judged.
I have this fear of being judged.
Fear.
Wait, you froze.
We lost her.
You froze. Ingrid.
She'll be back.
Ingrid.
We could just keep tapping while we wait.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh. You could lead, no?
What really makes me mad is that they never apologized. Even now, they know what they did.
Even now, they still think they were right.
Yep.
Bratty boys.
Hmm?
Bratty boys.
Bratty boys.
My sister was the ringleader.
Bratty girls.
Yeah. She still is.
I don't think they ever grow out of it.
Oh, gosh.
We thought they knew what they were talking about.
Yeah, well, they're the older ones. They should know.
And even my mother was only in her 20s, which seems pretty young now. She made a lot of bad decisions, but she couldn't do any better. She was just practically a kid herself.
Yeah.
There she is down there.
I am really, really sorry.
All right.
I
We're just
have
carrying on
a-
without you.
You're
Can you
digitizing
guys
too.
hear me?
No, you're digitizing, Ingrid.
You guys got this. See, that's why I love you. What is it? There you go.
We just kept
So
on
I do have internet problems right now, as you can see, and it's very strange. It started last night. I hope that this does not, I can put this on my phone, but if I put it on my phone, I can't see all of you. So let's just hope it doesn't happen anymore. Where are we at right now? How are you guys?
We just kept on tapping. We tapped on
feeling?
anger and the fact that they never apologized.
Yeah, and how are you doing? How are you feeling? Okay. Oh, stupid jerks never apologized.
Mhm.
Just that. Just that. Inside of the airport. Can you even believe it?
Mhm. They know what they did.
Outside of the, I think they know exactly what they did.
Sure.
Nancy, do you want to take with me? Another eye. After all, my brother was already 5.
After all, it was my sister. She was already 5.
He was already 5. So she had it figured out.
Figured it out.
She was already 5, so she had it figured out.
Yeah.
She was genius like that.
Okay, she was a genius. I always
And my
thought
mom was the best mother ever. My mom should have got the best mom award.
not my mom. No.
Can you just repeat? Because I use you as a voice right now.
Okay, my mom was the best mom ever. She should
And
get
that's
the
clear.
best mom award.
Yeah. And that is clear to me.
That's clear
And
to
that
me.
is clear
now.
to me.
Clear to me now,
Because look at how I came out because of her.
because look at how I came out because of her.
Still afraid of a 5-year-old.
Still afraid of a 5-year-old.
And mom never intersected.
Mom never intervened.
And I'm just going to take a moment right now
I'm going to take a moment right now.
and take a step back from those feelings
Take a step back from those feelings
and look at them carefully.
and look at them carefully.
As the person I became.
The person I became.
And I'm beginning to see something
I'm beginning to see something
that I might not have seen before.
I might not have seen before.
I'm seeing a very young person
I'm seeing a very young person
with very little life experience,
with very little life experience,
starting to find her voice,
starting to find her voice,
starting to speak up in public.
starting to speak up in public.
And when she was not allowed to speak up in public,
When she was not allowed to speak up in public,
it bothered her.
it bothered her.
It made her angry.
It made her angry.
It made her doubt herself.
It made her doubt herself.
It made her walk away.
It made her walk away.
But chances are,
Chances are,
she never forget what she wanted to say.
no matter what she wanted to say,
She never forgot what she wanted to say.
she forgot what she wanted to say.
She never forgot what she wanted to say.
She never forgot what she wanted to say.
That's why it feels so unfair.
That's why it feels so unfair.
That's why she gets so angry.
That's why she gets so angry.
Because there was nothing wrong with what she wanted to say.
There was nothing wrong with what she wanted to say.
She wasn't stupid.
She wasn't stupid.
She wasn't wrong.
She wasn't wrong.
She just said what she had to say.
She just said what she had to say.
It can make you so angry when people don't listen.
It can make you so angry when people don't listen.
And when they don't understand, there's quality here.
And they don't understand that's quality here.
There's really some quality in a 2.5-year-old.
There's really some quality in a 2.5-year-old.
There's some quality in what children have to say.
There's some quality in what children have to say.
And that's why I feel so angry sometimes.
That's why I feel so angry sometimes.
Because there is a part of my being that really knows
There's a part of my being that really knows
that I have a deep message inside.
I have a deep message inside.
I have something to say.
I have something to say.
I'm important.
I'm important.
I have life experiences that nobody else has.
I have life experience that no one else has.
And it's time to get it out.
It's time to get it out.
To people who won't judge me.
To people who won't judge me.
Or if they do.
I didn't hear it.
Or if they do,
Or if they do,
they might judge me for their reasons, not mine.
they might judge me for their reasons, not mine.
And it's about time for me
It's about time for me
to start enjoying my own brilliance.
to start enjoying my own brilliance.
Take it back. How are you guys doing? Some feedback. How are you feeling? Did this resonate with you? Was this not the direction you wanted to go?
Yeah,
Any thoughts?
I like
love-
that. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
I like the idea that even as a 3-year-old, I had something intelligent to say and something worthwhile. I never felt that before.
Do you know it now or do you feel it?
Yeah, I feel it now. It's like, yeah, I knew things that they didn't know.
Mhm. Which is why they called you stupid, because we do that when we're exposed to something we don't know. When we draw a blank, we think it's bad because it's threatening. Right? When somebody tells you something and you have no idea what it is, it feels like, whoa, wait a minute. That's how we are. This to me more. My internet gets unstable again, but let's hope it doesn't. Let's pray to the gods of the internet. So how else are you guys feeling? What comes to mind? Nell, Carla, is you guys all at work over there? Elaine, Barb, Judith? Tell me how you feeling. Kelly. Yeah.
Hello,
Yeah, I was just
Ingrid.
gonna. Oh,
Sorry. Go on.
you're breaking up, Ingrid, but I'm just gonna talk and hope you can hear me. No, the one thing that made me think about was that I'm like 44 years old, and I probably only found out about 4 years ago that people act and behave from their point of view. That if I'd known that as a child, my whole early life, teenage life, all my 20s, and even my 30s would have been so different. And in some ways that feels a little bit upsetting, but I know that it's fine. I'm on a new journey now and my life is very different to what it was. And it's why I've gone down the EFT route and everything. But it's just a weird thought that if somebody could have told me that back then, and now I can unpick those stories from back then and just think, it was all their thing. It was nothing to do with me. But I took it on board so heavily.
But you figured it out 4 years ago. You know, a lot of people never figure that out.
No,
And that's
I know.
really the thing, you know, you can only, when you expose yourself, that's also when you reach out and really step on a bigger platform. People hear what they know.
Yeah.
And as much
it's such a simple message
as they, yeah, absolutely.
It's such a simple message, and I feel myself all the time. People, when anybody comes to me and says, oh, so-and-so did this, I'm like, straight away, I'm like, well, you know, it could be, you know, and give them, because I just think, and they're like, oh, no. And in some parts of me, I'm like, doesn't everybody know that? But then I think, no, you didn't know that. So no, not everybody does. So, yeah.
Well, because we compare everything we hear to the things we know, all right? So we hear a new thing and then we compare it to the closest thing to that. If we know exactly what they're talking about, if you talk to a non-EFTer, they will say, well, wait a minute, that's tapping. Is that like, you know, and they will tell you whatever they know. And it's sometimes completely different, right?
Yeah.
And then that's where the bridge building comes in. But it's because that's how our brain works. And there's nothing wrong with that. So very often it's really more about telling the right stories to allow for them to understand which stories they have that they may be able to relate to. Does that make sense? And that's also why when you start to really reach out on a bigger platform, whether that's speaking, whether that's, you know, any kind of really reaching out to where more people don't know about you and don't know about EFT will see you, the stories. You need to know how you got there, right? You never teach. You always say, well, this is who I am, this is what happened, and this is how this all came about. And when you know your stories really, really well, you actually craft them in such a way that a lot of people can find something in it. And then you have that hook. And then you can expand from there and taking it into a direction that you want to take it. Does that make sense?
Yes,
Right?
thank you.
So knowing through, and that's actually how we started this call as well, right? Because it's yeah, because it's how it's done, you know, it's how I like to get to know somebody is through a crappy story. I want to know their bad stuff. Don't tell me your good stuff. I'm sure you have that. I've read that on your website, right? But what gives you the right to claim that you need to listen, that I need to listen to you, because this is time used, right? And I think that's really quite important. So what I'm hearing is kind of regret, right? Like, damn it, if I had known this 40 years ago, my life would be so different. Anybody else can relate to this regret of like, would have been nicer to know, and it's their fault that I've lived this way and things like that. You guys can relate to that? Anybody cannot relate to that? Or would you like to tap on it? Elaine, can you or can you not? I don't know if she can hear me. All right, Kelly, you and I, let's start, okay? Let's just not do the correct. No, let's do that. Even though my internet connection is unstable, I hope I don't freeze. Even though, Kelly, can you repeat?
I can, yeah.
The truth is, it took me 40 years to figure this out.
The truth is, it took me 40
years. It took me 40 years. You can't hear me? Can you guys hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. I don't think you can hear me though, can you?
Me. And a part of me I can hear you. Okay. Can you guys hear me right now? Can you give me a thumbs up? Can you hear me or can you not hear me? Oh, please.
I can hear you now, but
can you guys hear me right now?
Yes.
I hate that.
Right now, but it was
Okay. Can you hear me better
very
now?
bumpy.
Let me see what I can do here. Let me- Okay, so I'm super sorry. Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Can you hear me? Can you
Yeah,
hear me?
you keep freezing
Yeah,
a
you
bit.
can hear me. So, yeah, it's unstable. And I don't want to sound conspiracy here right now, but a colleague of me made a list of all the web services that are going down right now, including Facebook and Spotify and
Yeah.
everybody at once. We have probably one of my husband works for this company. So we have the strongest internet somebody can have. If we go down, something's wrong. I very much apologize.
That's fine.
If this keeps happening, I will do the call again with you guys. Okay? I just want to make sure
Thank
you got
you.
this. I just want to support you here, but we have to work with what we got. Okay. And I know you took the time out of your day, and I just want to honor that. If you're okay with that, then we do this. And otherwise we just do it again. That's all I got for you. All right. So, where are you at? I'm sure you talked while I was gone.
I couldn't hear each other really, I don't think.
Okay. How are you feeling about this time lost, or about the fact that this has impacted you all your life? There's this moment when we wake up and think, oh my God, this is how life is. And damn it, I'm 40, or 50 or 60 or whatever we are. How does it feel?
There's a lot of regret.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Tune into that regret. See whether you feel this physically. Let's do this straightforward EFT. And just take a note. See how intense that is for you. And let's just hear, where do you feel this regret physically?
In my
My
chest.
gut.
In the gut?
gut.
Okay.
My esophagus.
Mm.
Okay. Anybody else?
In my chest.
Okay. Tune into that regret. Rest, wherever that sits for you. Top of your head. I have a lot of regret about this.
I have a lot of regret about this.
I wish I'd known sooner.
I wish I'd known sooner.
I wish I hadn't wasted all this time.
I wish I hadn't wasted all this time.
I could have been so much more.
I could have been so much more.
I could have had so much more impact. I could have made such a difference.
I could have made such a difference.
I wasted so much time feeling bad.
I wasted so much time feeling bad.
And I don't know if I can have that time back.
I don't know if I can have that time back.
All these things I never did.
All these things I never did.
I'm just going to tap on that
I'm just going to tap on that
until I stop feeling bad about it.
until I stop feeling bad about it.
After all, given the circumstances, I did what I could.
The circumstances, I did what I could.
I'm just going to tap on this regret.
I'm just going to tap on this regret.
That I had this revelation at this point in my life.
I have this revelation at this point in my life.
This regret that I feel.
This regret that I feel.
I forgive myself.
I forgive myself.
The truth is, I have no idea what I would have done with my life.
The truth is, I have no idea what I've done with my life.
Deep breath. Let's just see if that clears something up. Tune into wherever you felt this before. What do you feel? Still the same intensity, the regret? Barb, how is it for you?
Feeling lighter, less force in my chest.
Okay. Let's do another round. Top of your head. I wonder
I wonder
if I really have to regret this.
if I really have to regret this.
I mean, I can regret it,
I can regret it.
or I can also not regret it.
I can also not regret it.
I wonder if I really have to feel this way. I wonder what's in it for me to feel this way.
What's in it for me to feel this way?
Is
Well,
there anything in it for me to feel this way? I can spend the rest of my life not feeling regret. What an excellent use of my time.
is-
I think I'm going to do that.
okay.
So the first half, I couldn't speak up.
So the first half, I
And
put
the second half, I'm going to be angry about that.
second half, I'm gonna be angry with them.
Excellent use of my time.
An excellent use of my time.
What if instead
What if instead
I was at the height of my power now?
I'm at the height of my power now?
At a point where I don't have to worry what my stupid brother says.
I don't have to worry what my stupid brother said.
At a point where my mom doesn't have to say anything to me.
My mom doesn't have to say a thing to me. She can't anyway.
At a point where those who criticize us are not in our lives anyways.
Those who criticize have nothing to say to me anyway.
And a lot of the bitches left my life in high school.
A lot of those bitches left my life in high school.
What if I was at the height of my power?
What if I was now at the height of my power?
Because I have experience that I can only get this way.
Because I have experience.
And because of where I'm at, I also have authority.
Because of where I'm at, I also have authority.
I'm not 2 years old.
I'm not 2 years old anymore.
I'm not going to be compared to children.
I'm not going to be compared to children.
I'm not going to be compared to older people.
I'm not going to be compared to other people.
Nobody will tell me this person's older, so you shut up and listen.
Nobody will tell me, shut up and listen.
If anything, it's probably the other way around.
Anything is the other way.
People are curious about who I am.
People are curious.
And how come I have so much to offer?
How come I have so much to offer?
How come there's so much depth to what I have to say?
How come there's so much depth to what I have to say?
How come that I'm comfortable to talk to?
How come I'm comfortable to talk to?
And that it's easy to connect with me?
And it's easy to connect with me.
What if I was at the height of my power?
What if I was at the height of my power now?
And everything I've learned so far
Everything I've learned so far
is translating itself into a powerful story.
is translating itself into a powerful story.
Deep breath. What comes to mind?
Well, it comes down to a choice. You can keep feeling sorry about it, or you can feel good about yourself.
Can I ask you a question really quick? All right. So, honest answer. Do you think you still have the choice to feel crappy about it?
Yep.
You think you can? How
Think
would you do that?
Can still feel crappy.
Yeah. How would you do that?
How? I just start thinking about all the things that happened when I was a kid.
Yeah, but why does it make you feel crappy?
It's a habit.
Oh, I have a habit of feeling crappy. I have lots of habits.
Well, it's the way I learned to deal with things growing
Yeah, I
up.
learned to deal with it by feeling crappy. That's what I learned as a tool. It's my protection tool.
Mhm. My protection.
I was
So
about
I
to say it's a good way to hide, isn't it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I feel crappy so I can hide.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I can always be poor little me.
Poor little me. I'm going to be hiding now, feeling crappy. And I wonder if they know that. I wonder if anybody but me really knows that.
Mm.
After all, they only know what they know.
They only know what they know.
They only see how they are. Some people who are quiet are being seen as having authority.
Some people
And other people think they're shy.
and other people think they're shy.
I wonder if they know that this is what I do.
I wonder if they know that this is what I think.
And even if they did, if it even mattered to them.
And even if I did, it doesn't matter to me.
Why would it matter to them? Why would it even matter to them? Does anybody care that I do that?
Does anybody care that I do that?
The people that love me, do they care?
People that love me, do they care?
The people that don't love me, do they care?
People that love me, do they care?
Maybe it's really just a habit.
And it's really just a habit.
And the nice thing about it
And the nice thing about it
is that I can change that habit
is that I can change the habit
without telling anybody.
without telling anybody.
Deep breath. How does that feel? You know, if you want to change something and you think you need it just in case to protect yourself, you just don't tell anybody you're doing it. Right? So for example, what could you do? But if you feel like, all right, I mean, I get it. The families, I mean, I have, you know, there's reasons why people live in other countries than the rest of the family, right? And why they decided that that's the place to be and not over there. An ocean is a good distance sometimes. So I get it. Oh yeah. But and I know, you know, from my own experience, when the family gets loud, you can either be louder or, you know, you're it anyways. I mean, that's how it is in my family, right? They all have figured me out because when I was 16, whatever that story is. So, but, you know, you can do all sorts of things. You can take it personally in that moment and start feeling bad, or you can just totally like use it as a meditation. Family's fighting. I know where they are. I'm going to focus on something else right now until they're done with this. They won't know. They won't know what you're doing. And they won't care what you're doing because what they're thinking in their own mind is probably not what you should be doing anyway. So, right. So what would you rather do? If you're exposed to that situation, if your big brother opens up his mouth again, if you know, whatever, the boss is a bully, you know, I mean, there's many different reasons why people really shut down, and for good reason. But or shutting down in a sense of not speaking up or not speaking against or not standing up for oneself and picking a fight, because what's the point, right? What else, what other habit would work well for you?
Well, for me, Ingrid, I've joined this 22 days of tapping, and I find that's been really, really helping me. Just doing the personal work each and every day.
Yeah.
And like one of my issues with getting out there publicly is, of course, is childhood related. So I've been working on those issues. And I think too, it's fear of failure, right? You know, stepping out. But I think the more you work on your PPP, this is my experience anyways, is more things are coming up and you just wipe that off the plate. And then you start having a different perspective on your own self.
Mhm.
You start gaining the confidence again. Hey, I can do this. You know, even going through the EFT certification process, did it, you know, like you keep conquering, right? You step out of those fears, even joining a group. For me, that can be intimidating. I don't know anybody, but you know what? If I wouldn't have done this last year, you wouldn't have never seen me on here last year. But that's the benefit of doing the PPP, right? And just overcoming that fear. Hey, I did it. Okay, what's the next thing? Joining Ingrid's group. Oh, I did it. What's the next thing? Right? Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And we have this amazing tool, you know, which is why I'm glad that we're all EFTers in here, you know, because we all kind of know what that's like, you know, and what I realized is that you know, because it works so well, something can be traumatic and I can tap on it and get rid of it. Or something can happen. I will not allow it to let it traumatize me, because I already know what it's going to feel like when it stops. Right? Eventually you just make that jump from like, oh, either I tap on it or, you know, it happened. Like, okay, got it. The more often, and that's why I totally agree with you, the PPP is fantastic, personal peace procedure, just really breaking it down to the separate issues and just acknowledging them and honoring for what they are. You know, that gives that routine and a brand new habit of this. If that's where that moment of decision comes in, do I actually want this to be traumatic right now? Is it just the good old family having a good old family day, and I never liked it and I never will? Right? And that's really so empowering. There are, and I love how you say, you know, breaking through a glass ceiling or showing up. I think we all have had that experience many times, right? That it's just like, oh my God, this shit is scary. And just make that conscious decision that, damn it, this time I will not let that stop me. I don't want to. I will sit here and work on this until I'm ready enough to take that next leap. We don't have to feel comfortable, just comfortable enough to make the next step. Right? That's really so important. Some of our folks think that they have to be so comfortable and everything has to be so perfect, but that's not really true. It's okay to have a challenge. A lot of things aren't comfortable. Drinking hot coffee isn't comfortable. We drink it or we're blowing it, but it's really kind of like that, you know? Do we only drink coffee when it's the perfect temperature, or is there wiggle room? And as long as we're in that wiggle room, we probably have a chance. And then we can go explore. The other thing that I had to allow myself to really embrace, because there's always this fear of not getting it right, this fear of not, you know, you put in all this work and all these things and then it just doesn't work. And, you know, that doesn't mean the time is lost. It just means doing it again. Changing what didn't work, doing it better is a learning curve. So it's not time lost. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. I know that for myself. If I hadn't had the garbage going on that went down for so many years, I would have never looked for EFT. You know.
May I add something? I just wanted to say that I was thinking as we were tapping about, because I had these various blocks from things that happened when I was a child, but had some energy to squeeze my way around them and go to places where I could do what I wanted to do in spite of them. It took me down some paths that I never would have gone if I hadn't had the blocks. And so I did learn some things and accomplish some things that I just wouldn't have done if I had had a clear highway ahead of me from the beginning, which is kind of another way of saying what you were saying.
Maybe. Yeah. Can you all agree with that? Can anybody relate to that? You know, because and ultimately, as an EFTer, I always thought it's such an honor and a privilege to get to hear people's stories. And I know that I would not want to change my story with any of yours. Right? I would not, if I knew as much about you as you know about yourself and vice versa, you would just much rather hold on to your own story and deal with that and taking anybody else's. Yes, it's hard. Living is hard. Right? Being born, being a child is crappy hard. And then dealing with all this stuff is hard. And I don't know if something that I tell my students is that, you know, kind of the way I'm sure you've heard that from your trainers too, that trauma is created by helplessness, right? It's not created by the intensity of the event, but the level of helplessness you're at when it happens. Mm-hmm. Because when you're helpless, the feeling is, I can't protect myself, translated into I will die.
Mhm.
It's that immediate. It's the fear of dying when something is out of our control.
Mhm.
We're helpless. Now imagine any child under the
Uh-oh.
age of 6 is helpless. So we're living in this constant, and I'm unstable again. I hope that, okay, internet gods, we need a minute, okay? We're constantly in this state of dying. And if our parents are not reliably there, but they add, or, siblings, and they add that extra layer of insecurity, when the only thing we actually have is our opinions and our voice, and that gets taken away, then we really think we're going to die. So what are we going to do? We run away, we hide, we don't speak, we think there's something wrong with us. Some of us just get confused and say, well, I guess it shouldn't be this way. It can't be my parents. It better be me, because if this was my parents, I depend on them with my life. My parents can't be wrong, because if they are, then who's going to save my life? Right? This is how deep that goes. And that's also why everybody has childhood trauma. Everybody does. It's impossible not to. I have a kid, so she has childhood trauma. Right? Sorry, Leah, it's just true. So once we understand it this way, the value of childhood trauma also becomes less heavy. It's less personal. It's really just that we were not capable of surviving on our own. And anything that made that clear to us feels extremely traumatic. Does that make sense?
Mhm.
Okay, so take that in. How do you feel right now? Donna, how do you feel?
I guess I've just been, while you're speaking, been reflecting on, I grew up in a family where my father was clergy, and I was to be perfect. And, realizing now all the times, and I couldn't be perfect. And now
Yeah.
it's acknowledging that and just moving on. But I spent a lot of time, and I feel better, realizing that I'm not the only one. My trauma was different than other people's, but everybody has had it. So there's sort of comfort in knowing I'm not the only one.
Yeah. Can you relate to that? This feeling when parents like you have to be perfect? Okay. So top of your head. My dad said I have to be perfect.
Dad said I have to be careful.
I was the pastor's daughter.
I was the pastor's daughter.
I had to be perfect,
I have to be perfect.
which means he told me constantly that I wasn't perfect.
Which means he told me constantly.
Because if I had been perfect, he wouldn't have told me, right? So all the time I was told, you're not perfect. You got to be perfect. You're my daughter. He couldn't see that I was perfect. He didn't see that I was perfect. He saw something that I did not understand. And I tried hard, but I couldn't get there. And that was scary and confusing. I'm just going to honor that feeling with kindness and compassion. All these years not knowing what my father wanted from me. Because if I had known, I would have gotten there. I tried all the tricks. I tried to do all the right things. I could never figure out what he meant. Why wasn't I perfect for him? Why was he pushing me so hard? Why did I always feel like I can never get there? Why wasn't I good enough the way I was? I'm just going to start feeling some compassion for how that felt to me. Yes, the truth is, I was always perfect in the eyes of God. Deep breath. How do you feel?
That helps.
How does it help?
Because there's no way anybody can be perfect. I'd be God if I was perfect. So I just wish I'd known sooner.
So my question is this: if it's impossible to be perfect, then it's also impossible to be imperfect.
So it's being okay just as it is now.
It's impossible to be imperfect. It goes both ways. It's either perfection exists or perfection does not exist. But you can't have it both ways. You can't have a standard that nobody can reach and at the same time say it's a standard. It's like, how many hours can you breathe underwater? Right? If it's impossible to be perfect, then you can only be perfect according to a system that should have rules, that once you tick all boxes, you should be okay. But if you're not given the boxes that you're supposed to be ticking, and just saying, what? Being perfection ends when it relates to something, because you do the things that need to. That's good. That ends. Internet gods are letting me down. But that's where that ends, right? So once you put your own idea of perfection into a framework, into a frame of reference, and decide in which areas you would like to tick all the boxes that there are, and then work on ticking those, then it's fine. You're perfect. And you don't have to be perfect in other areas. It's perfectly fine to not do the dishes and not do the thing and wear your sweats and do whatever, if other things are happening, or, whatever your frame of reference is. But the idea of perfection in all levels of life completely underestimates how complicated that is. So when it comes to perfection, create a frame of reference. Decide which things are important within that frame of reference. Did you ever let your father down? Did you ever embarrass him in a way in public that was completely irreversible? Right? I mean, there may be things, right? But when you ask for perfection or being asked for perfection, then you also need to know when you're done. When it's finished. When it's good enough is good enough. Right? And if somebody does not give these to you, the boxes you need to check before you take action, before you do whatever it is you want to do, before you know you're ready, then they don't know what they're doing, not you. Does that make sense? So think about how many times we had this feeling of I'm not perfect simply because we didn't know what the hell they were talking about. Right? When am I ever going to be good enough? And there's no answer. Well, that's on them. They should have thought this through before they raised children. Make sense? So I want to take that off your shoulders as well. Right? And remember that no matter what you put out there, people will only see what they already know. So the better you are at telling your own story and at making it clear to people why they should be relating, or what they could be relating, the clearer you can make them resonate with who you are, the easier it will be to be perfect for them at the time and place where they're at. And that's all you need to do, right? They don't need to know all the things you don't know. A lot of people, especially women, are raised this way. Yeah, but have you guys ever visited somebody's house and they say, please don't look around, it's all a mess. And you look around and you don't see it. I literally had friends tell me they didn't wash their floors the second I got into the house. I was like, can I have some coffee, please? I cannot. What? It's this thing. We need to find something wrong with us and then share it with the world. Ever been dressed beautifully and people said, oh, this looks really nice, and you tell them it was on sale? It's like, what? It's like, why do we do this thing? Why don't we just say thank you and move on? Right? You put all this work into it to look nice, and then you say it's not really great. It's pretty great. They notice that, right? We do these funny things, and part of that is tapping, and a part of that is, Kelly, exactly what you said. It's just that awareness, right? That we can structure our thinking, structure our actions, structure our relationships. And if somebody has their expectations are too high, we need to step away. And that's really something we also need to do. My husband is very athletic. I'm a 17-year cancer survivor. I am not athletic, right? If he goes skiing and I go skiing, I'm at the top of the hill still wondering if I want to go down, and he's already on the lift on the way back up. I will not do this. I will not ride a bike with him. I will not hike with him. I will not do anything other than kayaking with this man. I will not do it because he always has to slow himself down, and I will never be fast enough no matter how much he crawls around. It just doesn't make any sense. He's not my frame of reference, right? And so we need these people around us that are where we are, that understand those boxes. They can encourage us to say, hey, you know what? You can check this box. This is not hard to do. You may be afraid, but that doesn't mean you're not capable. There's a difference between being afraid and not being capable, right? And so I'm not capable to ride a bike like my husband, and even if I tried, I wouldn't. It's just true. So he got me an e-bike, by the way. There's a benefit in that. But really understanding that if you want to be successful, you need to be with people that are in the same frame of reference, that use the same system on some level, and they can challenge you to things you can do but you didn't think about, right? And that's where your peers come in. That's where surrounding yourself with people that inspire you, that excite you, that help you see yourself on a greater stage, that encourage you, that say, hey, well done, when you just thought, it's nothing, but I didn't do it yet, and today I did. So I think that's a celebration. And they say, good job for you, yeah, you. That's why this comes in. Right? And once you are in an environment, and I'm sure you've seen this with your EFT classes as well, when you can put something out and everybody goes, yay, good for you, right? Because I get it. Once you're in that, you will feel successful because you are successful, right? And once all these boxes are checked, there's the next frame of reference. There's more boxes to check, but you got to check the first ones first until you check the next ones, right? And that's how this works. So when you feel uncomfortable or out of place or judged, wonder if you are in a framework that is actually suiting you, or if you should be somewhere else. Does that make sense? Right? And if people say random things like, you're not perfect, it's totally okay to say, oh, give me your criteria. What do you mean? Give me your criteria. I want to be perfect for you. So tell me exactly what I need to do, and I'm going to do that, and we're good. And if they say you can't see it this way, then it's no, you can't see it this way. Because I need information. You don't have that. So don't judge me. Right? So I hope this is helpful to see, there were just things we were never given. I know you are. And now you can see things differently. Your brothers were probably never taught how to feel comfortable with an adopted sister. you were just brought into the family and they've kind of said, you got to love her. She's your sister now. And they said, how do I do this? Because they didn't connect the dots. There was a disconnect, right? That's on your parents. But they probably also didn't know. They thought they adopted child and see what happens. Right? So there are these steps in there, but it's not you. It was just taken out on you. Does that make sense? And it's important to tap on these things. So I'm excited. We can certainly do this more. For those of you guys who are actually interested in stepping up and really being seen and, you know, having your voice heard on a bigger platform, I do want to encourage you. I talked about this before. Selena is a friend of mine that I've known since 2012, I think. And she is actually an expert in breaking down the steps to you that you need to know if you want to be seen. Okay, what are your stories? What are your topics? Who do you need to talk to? Not everybody needs to hear our stories, right? A lot of people, they couldn't care less. If it's the wrong outlet, don't ask them to publish your stuff. They're just like, you know, we're the Wall Street Journal. What do you want to tell me? You know, I'm not interested. We need to know where we fit. And number one, where our stuff fits. And on the other hand, also where the people that are looking for help, where are they looking? Right? It needs to go together. Just because you think that, you know, Women's Magazine is a good outlet doesn't mean that the people that you want to reach are reading this. And so we have to really understand what is it that makes us relevant? Where do we find the right people? How do we put these things together? And what kind of outlet is appropriate? Should I be podcasting? Should I be guest blogging? Should I be on local television? Should I not do any of that, but do something else? And there are things to learn step by step. And I do want to tell you that Selena, and I'm going to I sent you actually the link already. She has a 3-day free program next week. You don't pay for that. Okay. This woman has created solid 7-figure business in just helping people learn how to get publicity, and how people are all over the place. And next, I mean, Forbes and I mean, CNN, and she got people all over. Next week I think it's Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and sign up for it. She will send you this. You have an opportunity to learn an hour a day what you need to know what your story is and what the right things are, where your message needs to go. So you take it from the all there is into something very specific where people will actually listen to you, right? And then what the right outlets is, they will give you the step-by-step thing. They will give you their frame of reference. And when you do this for 3 days, you will know who you are. And you will know what you have to say. You can decide after that if you want to learn more and really get into this. I can tell you, I did this last year. It was a complete game changer. I would not have done this if I hadn't done it, right? And I would not, my message would not be in Washington, D.C. with one of the senators right now if I hadn't learned from Selena how to get my stuff into the Congress Monitor within one day, right? It's like, okay, but I did. That's on you. You can decide that, but take the challenge. It's really, really, really cool. And I'm going to tell people about it because there's only so much that I can teach you. You know, I've learned certain things and I'm happy to share them, but I'm not an expert. I'm an EFT expert. I'm an expert in working with veterans. I'm an expert in many things, but I'm not an expert in publicity. And if you feel like you want to reach out, this is free. So there's nothing holding you back. So I just want to really bring this to your heart before my daughter tells me, Mom, you're salesy and pushy, but there's nothing to sell and nothing to push. It's just good. It's just how it is. So where are you? Oh my God, it's snowing. Sorry, but it was green this morning. It's all white now. How are you guys doing right now?
I feel great. And I'm signed up for Selena's challenge.
Oh,
Okay.
I'm excited. Yeah.
Right, where is it? An email?
Yeah, I can send this again. I'm so glad you're doing it. And you know, it's one of those things where you get an opportunity to just see what it would be like, right? If you don't like it, you don't have to do it, but you get an opportunity to find that out. And for me, what I realized is that I have a huge background in marketing. I have a business background in Germany. So this all is comfortable for me because it's just helping people. I had no clue about publicity. None, nishta. I didn't know who to talk to, how to follow up, what do you say when you reach out? You know, what are people looking for? How do you find the right person? There are like 1,500 people listed. Who's the right one for you? What do they want? When do they want? I had no clue. You know, and so, yeah, that needed to change. It really, really needed to change. And it's not rocket science. It's just step by step. And this woman is more organized than I will ever be. So my daughter will say, Mom, stop it now. But I mean it. My question for you would be this. What is it from if you were to say, hey, you know what, I'm ready to do more. I'm ready to step up with EFT, whatever that is. What kind of support, like emotional support, EFT support, you know, holding your hand support, what kind of support would be helpful for you? That's something that I would love to learn from you. Would you think like you come to, like you needed, you know, like time to work or sessions to work on doubts or completely different things? What would be helpful for you?
For me, Ingrid, I think, you know, even just joining your group, I find you're very encouraging. And it makes me want to push ahead. So I've joined this group too. And like I say, I'm getting out of my box. I'm constantly getting out of the box, right?
There's
So
no box.
joining
Yeah.
this group to me, and even getting to know some of these ladies, just tapping along with them, like I'm encouraged. I am. Yeah.
So the tapping is a helpful thing.
Yeah.
I'm openly asking because I would like to, you know, if people really want to move forward, I want to be there and support you as well. You know, because there's emotional support that we need, especially when we get started. And I'm right now thinking about bonuses, like what can I give you from my end that would help you if that's what you choose to do? You know, is it just, you know, GSD means get shit done sessions? You know, basically everybody quiet, you have an hour to work. Is it tapping? Is it something else? Just brainstorm with me so that I know that what would help you.
I personally think I'm at the point where I'm consciously incompetent. It's like, I don't know what I need yet. You know, I'm fumbling through, I'm, you know, finding different pieces, but I couldn't turn around and say to you, this is specifically what I need in order for the next step.
Okay. All
Yeah,
right. Is that, yeah.
I was going to say the main thing for me is just being in a group, because I have felt really, really isolated these last few years, probably because I did it myself. But yeah, I live in an area where there are a lot of people who claim they're healers and they do all this woo-woo stuff, and they look at me and they go, oh yeah, I know all about EFT, which I know they don't. So being around other practitioners is really encouraging for me, just to have that kind of, yeah, there's somebody else who has the same problem I do.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I hear you. I hear you. Anything else, Kelly? What would you need? What's helpful for you?
I don't know, I enjoy listening to people like you, because I think it just inspires me to think what I could be, because there's a definite feeling of being new to it, because I only qualified last year, but also feeling I am confident and I love what EFT is and I believe in it so much, but there's still a little bit of fear of telling other people that how brilliant I think it is, because I'm new to it. So it's like a definite battle going on, while I'm still trying to find clients and things like that at the moment, because it's at the beginning.
Well, you will find, so the thing, and this is where I think really the publicity piece comes in. When you reach out with your story will always reflect who you actually are, right? You're not telling people you are something you're not. When you have your authentic story, then the right people can connect with you. You just show up on their radar, right? Yeah. EFT isn't rocket science. People are rocket science. EFT is not. right? And there is something, there can be something intimidating about the idea of being, certified and and all that. This is a relatively new concept compared to when I started 20 years ago. When I started this, we had DVDs to watch and courses to go to, right? And I mean, 180-hour course of EFT DVDs, which I consumed many times, right? Because always something new. But there was never a moment at which it was decided that now we're good enough, right? You just learned and you grew and you had some people and you helped them. And then you thought about, why did this work? My first client was 5-hour client. I had no clue what it's doing, right? But it worked out in the end. Today, this would take me 15 minutes. But there's a step-by-step thing, right? And just it's and when you show up with your story and your authenticity and who you are now, people will trust you that together you can figure it out. And when you say, I'm not ready, for example, to work with a traumatized veteran, or to work with ritual abuse, or, to work through a plane crash, or war trauma, we're all going to be busy in that area. We know that already, right? The Europeans and us, we're just all kind of horrified right now. And everybody is, I know, but the Europeans and us, it's just, I've seen that before, hate it. You're not going to put yourself out there like that. So when you don't tell people you do this work,
She gone.
Well, I'm going to need to sign off, so I will type. Oh, here she comes.
Well, where is the link to get into this other program?
It was in the bottom of one of the emails.
Okay. Ooh, I just
Like the reminder emails, it had it on the bottom there.
Oh, I think I deleted them all.
Maybe it'll be in trash.
I'll go look.
And I think that Ingrid said she'd resend it.
I bet.
Yeah, she normally does that follow-up email, doesn't she?
Okay, well, I'm going to go too. Thank you all. It's been nice meeting you.
Nice
talking
meeting
And you too,
Thank
Nancy.
you, Nancy. Nice meeting you.
Take care.
Meeting all of you, in fact.
Thank you.
Bye
Now.
now.
This is
What a
great.
good group.
We'll see you again soon.
Yes. Bye.
Yeah.
It's only polite now to wait for it to come back.
And then
Should
there
come
were
back to an
4.
empty room.
I think that's the right link. I just popped it in there. It's really huge, but
Oh,
you should be able to click on it.
it is long.
I didn't have time to edit it. I just thought I'd throw it in there before everybody disappeared.
So I do recognize you, Barb and Donna, from the 22 days of tapping. I can't remember what class it was in. Yeah.
And
Probably at the
Alina's
introduction.
doing one tomorrow on limiting beliefs.
Oh,
I
I'm
just
definitely
saw
in
that
that
she
one.
posted that. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think I can make that one. I have something else.
You know.
Are you leaving now? Bye. I guess she is.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Who'd you take your training with, Elaine?
Kathy Riling.
I know the name.
Yeah, she did like I think one of the demo videos near the beginning on
Oh, right.
Oh,
restricted
okay.
breathing. I think, yeah. But yeah, I remember you're in PI, right?
I am in PEI and I have people putting solar panels on my roof. So if you hear a lot of noise, that's why I keep clicking off, because it's all of a sudden it's like really loud and then they're gone and then they're really loud. So
Yeah.
there they go again.
Yeah.
We can't hear. I can't hear it.
Oh, good. I was wondering if the noise canceling was working.
no.
So obviously it is, because it's really loud for me. But yes, I am in PEI.
Yeah. I spent
Where
a
are
lot
you?
of years in New Brunswick, St. John.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right now I'm in Fort McMurray, Alberta.
Mm.
Temporarily.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Where are you from originally?
Originally, I moved around every year. Originally, Toronto.
Okay. Is it military or something different?
No.
Okay. Yeah. I was military, so I also moved. Oh, my dad was. I wasn't, but we also moved quite a bit in my younger years.
Yeah. So are you ladies all gonna join up for this new group?
I think I am for sure.
Yeah,
Oh, they're
there's
jumping.
Ingrid.
Yeah. So Donna, are you Canadian or American or?
I actually live in Tucson, Arizona,
Oh,
but
Tucson,
I'm
Arizona.
visiting family in Michigan and it's cold here.
Oh, oh, there's Ingrid.
I apologize. These are, you know, they were good with, we literally have a snowstorm. I didn't even know. I thought we were done.
Yeah.
I just, you know, I really care that we just do our thing. You know, you're
Your
not
passion is
required-
obvious.
If I hadn't heard about this, I would not be who I am today. And there are
Exactly.
people out there that I know would be dead if they hadn't heard about me. I have clients that were ready to swim through the lake to see how far they get in October, right? I had people call me and say, can you please talk to my husband? He's ready to put the gun on his head. I can't say, well, let me think about if I'm good enough. I have to say, put him on the phone. I can't do that. And then you just, you know, you fill your heart and you pray that you get it right. And you are certain you're not going to get it wrong. You will do whatever the hell it takes. And sometimes that's enough. You know, sometimes people just need to hear somebody cares. And then you break it down. And this is the trainer in me saying this. And I don't know how you were trained, but I assume you were really trained this way in a very, like in a good framework kind of a way, right? So that you have your tools. You know how to break down EFT to the stats and set it apart into the different techniques, and you just stick to the basics. If you don't know where to go, don't do what I just did, right? If you don't know what to do, you just break it down into creating your sets, finding a spot in your body, you know, knowing this thing, and just do this for as long as you don't know where else to go. And that might just be all you need to do, right? And what I like about this is, and I hope this is encouraging for you, what I like about this is that when you tell your client, this is how you work, this is what they can expect, you have instant rapport because you become extremely reliable to them, right? You become predictable. With my kind of clients, they need to know what we're going to be doing before we're doing it because they're scared, right? So you don't have to be very artful, and you don't have to know what your client is going through too. Something I encourage my folks all the time. I say, if you don't know where to go, ask your client. Right? We often think we have to be these intuitive know-it-all people. We don't. Your client knows what their problem is. You don't need to know. You just need to ask. Right? And when we stand in our own way, we try to make sense out of something that our clients can make a lot more sense out of themselves. You just ask, how is that? We did this in the beginning, remember? And that in the very first thing, I just wanted to know some data. And you ask your client, trust your client, and help them with basic EFT. And that may just be all you need to do. That may be all your client needs. When you're working in a very, you know, straightforward way, it may take a little longer. But honestly, they've been dealing with this all their life. They really couldn't care less if it takes an hour and a half, or 2 or 3 or a month or 2 months. It doesn't matter to them. Right? And your honesty and your sincerity and the fact that they chose you should give you the confidence that you're right for them. Right? And when you put yourself out there in the media, whatever that means, they have an option to choose you from something other than somebody's registry. They can listen to you. They read your stuff. They see your face. They can follow you. They see what else you have to say. They look at your YouTubes, you know, they see, oh my God, she knows these people. I know these people. Well, if they know her, then maybe, you know, you become visible so they get to choose. And when they say, you know what, out of all people, I think I like you. That's all you need to know. And then ask them what they need and give them what they need. That's really all there is to it. And you grow with the process step by step. And if you feel like you're out of your depth, they need to know that. Okay. And you can tell them, this is something I have no experience in. I feel like I'm completely out of my depth right now. Here's what I can do. Here's what I'm not comfortable doing. What are we going to do? It's a we present. Here's what I can help you with. Here I'm not comfortable. Right? And you talk to your mentor, you talk to your colleagues, you see if somebody else is there. But this is all nothing. This is not new to you. Right? You know all this. But that's how you start. And the more you become visible on a bigger platform, the better it is for your clients to figure out if you're right for them. So don't wait, grow. Right? For a while, just think about it. I'm just having this thing right now because it's snowing and I thought we had a springtime. But think about how a flower comes out of the bulb. It doesn't look much like a flower, right? But if it didn't do that, it would never turn into anything. It would just be sitting there with all the potential of the genetic material that's in the thing, and nobody would ever find out because it's in the ground. And you got to see yourself like that. Start sticking your head out, right? When you're online, start making comments, right? Start doing the things that you know that you know a little bit about. And just do that. And somebody needs this. Donna, I cannot tell you how many people I know personally who have a similar background like you. Right? They need your energy. They need a little, a lady that's not threatening, a lady that seems quiet, a lady that seems trustworthy. So that's a skill. Not everybody's like that. Some people are way too loud. Kelly, you raised your hand?
Yeah, I was just going to say, at the beginning of the session at some point you said, I realised that I was comfortable talking to people who, I can't think of the right wording now. What was it now?
Oh, I see.
You said you were comfortable talking to people that you knew that they were ready to receive what you were offering. So you said something along those lines. I started a Facebook group this week, which I've never done before, but I was so passionate about something that was happening in my own life. And I thought, I need to share this. I know that other people are going for this. And it really drove me to start a Facebook group when I never thought I was going to do that. And, I so easily made content for that page. I made videos. I made about 6 videos in 4 days, which just blew my own mind that I could just do that, talking to like what felt like talking to nobody. But I did it and I thought, oh, okay, maybe this is like an area I really want to work in, because I knew that what I was saying was relevant for them.
Yeah.
And that was only because I did that other training with you, or I watched your video of last time, the publicity, and I went off and changed it. I told you, didn't I? But yeah, I changed everything, and I haven't necessarily got clients through it yet, but it doesn't matter. It's more the confidence. I'm proud of myself that I was able to do that.
That already, okay, if that's what you got out of the webinar, that you're already doing all this, then my work is already like, if that's all that happens after all the thing I put it, I'm good. This is so awesome. You are a rock star. But I want to tell you something. You said, I'm sure you guys heard that. I did the video that I knew they needed to hear. There's nobody in your group, but you know who you're talking to. Right? And now the thing is, really, once you have this sense, like I have this love for these people, I don't know who they are, but I will recognize them when I see them. Right? It's kind of like this. Once you're there, they're your peeps. You just fit right in. You may know more, but there's no problem. There is no explanation and comparison and all that garbage. I come from a highly competitive family, and it's extremely annoying. They're all smarter than me, and who knows, whatever. So it's like you will never taken just for what you did. It's always like, this is not. So for you to know that, you create videos for people that in your heart already exist. And it's so important for you that you make videos, even though you're not talking to them yet in person. That means that once you show up, they see that, and they also know you're talking to them.
Yeah. They feel heard instantly, don't they? Yeah.
And that's how it's done. That's how everybody is doing it. Right? You got to resonate. You're going to see the people You're going to listen to the people. You got to see if their heart is in a place where you need it to be. I'm sick and tired of people who tell me what to do and tell me what I can't do. I have spent tens of thousands of dollars. People who told me that what is dear to my heart is cannot be a business. Big mistake. I should have just left when they told me that. And I thought, you know, they know better. No, they don't. I want to help veterans. That's what I want to do. You know, and there's a way to do that. And publicity is a part of that. Just help them out, build a bridge, do what you need to do. Don't always put a price tag on everything. But when people want to work with you, they need to know how and how much it's going to be so they can say, okay, and get started. Right? It's not hardcore anything here. It's really, we're living a life. We're living a life that fills us. We're surrounded by people we can't wait to talk with. I love every single one of my clients. I also want to tell you that I turn people down. I don't want to work with everybody because I'm going to spend 3 months with these people. I don't have any interest in spending 3 months with a person I don't resonate with. It's not comfortable. It's not going to work either, but it's also not what I want to do. Right. And so you guys find that too. But if you never show up, here's the other side of that. Somebody else will, and they might not be as right as you would have been. Because they're looking, right? If they need EFT and they sit in a bus and you sit next to them and you tell them all about EFT, they will work with you. If you're not in that bus and a massage therapist sits down, they will work with the massage therapist. If instead of the massage therapist, a bird watcher sits down, they will get themselves the goggle things, right? They will look for solutions, and whatever shows up in their life, that's what they're going to latch onto. And that's why you have to be visible in order for people to make that choice. Does that make sense? Right? So there you got it, you know, and way too many of us are stuck in the self-doubts. And so we're not seen. It's shocking how little press we have after all these years of doing amazing work. You know, most of our press is actually just in research, because there we think we can prove how great we are, but we need to tell them stories. That's also where the calendar came in last time, right? Think of what kind of stories you can tell. You have so many stories to tell. People want to hear your story. They don't care what you do. They care about the stories because they want to know if they can do it too. And the story will help them do that. So I'm going to get off the mic now. I love you guys. And I want you to know that if you guys decide to work with Selena, I will figure something out. I'm probably actually going to ask you what it is that you could need from me to support you as a free bonus in addition to that, because I feel like that's something we need to do and I want to support you, right? I feel like this is my sweet spot. And, you know, we are a unique crowd. We EFTers are a little bit different than the rest of the world. And we're going to figure that out. So if there is something specific that you think could help you, feel free to email me, you know, and if it's doable, and I assume it is, then we're going to make that work and put that in a framework that's okay for everybody, right? So stay tuned for that. Let me know any problems you have. Also, once you go through the challenge, there may be questions. I want to be here for you because it's important. It's important for all of us. And you stuck through to the end. So thank you for doing that and through internet
Thank you
breakdowns.
so much.
Oh, thank
Yeah.
you so much.
Yes, and
Been
spread the
brilliant.
word. You know, we're all here to make a difference. And if we don't know how to do that, then we're just not. Right. So I love you guys. You're awesome.
Thank you.
Don't stop. Keep going. Do your thing. Let me know.
You.
You're
Okay.
so encouraging, and
You are.
I am really grateful for your help. Like right now, I just feel like I want to just get out
Buzzing.
there. Yeah, I am. I really
You know,
am.
I learned during the whole COVID thing that this is my hug. You know, it's like one hand here, one hand here, and yeah.
Well, right back at you.
All right. So
Thank you
let's
so
do
much.
that. Okay. Let's stay in contact. Let's figure this out. And you know, sometimes even just to figure out what kind of fears or objections or doubts come to your mind. Just shoot that in, you know, I realize this and this sounds great, but I don't know if that's possible, and la. If it's really like a roadblock, it's one thing, and that's, you know, that happens. If it's something that can be worked with because we're afraid or don't know yet, that's another thing. And, you know, we can work through that. We can figure it out what's right for you. Yeah, remember that. Yeah. It might be your life's about to change. And I want that for you. I want that for all of us. So big love to you. Thank you for sticking around. And yeah, we'll talk soon.
Thank you. Thank you, ladies.
Thank you. It was nice getting to meet all of you.
Yeah, lovely to meet you all. See you again
Bye-bye.
soon.
Yeah.
Right.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, Ingrid. Bye.
You're welcome.
Yeah, thank you, Ingrid.